"You're not quite ready for promotion," my boss said, leaning back in her chair with that polite but final tone that leaves no room for argument. I stared at her, the words echoing in my mind like a dull thud, each repetition sharper than the last. Just 2 weeks ago, I'd walked into the meeting brimming with confidence, certain my track record, long hours, and results would speak for themselves. And now, those efforts felt invisible, dismissed with a phrase that could have shattered anyone's professional pride. The office around me, familiar desks, the faint hum of printers, the smell of coffee suddenly seemed smaller, constrictive, a cage that no longer fit my ambitions. In that moment, I realized this wasn't just a delayed promotion. It was a signal, a quiet nudge from life. Maybe it was time to stop, waiting for validation that would never come, and start defining success on my own terms. I wasn't inexperienced or unaccomplished. At 35, I had spent over a decade navigating the corporate labyrinth, climbing ladders and earning respect not through titles alone, but through results. I had led projects that shaped revenue streams, managed teams through complex deadlines, and resolved conflicts that could have derailed entire departments. Colleagues knew me as reliable, calm under pressure, and meticulous, someone who didn't just delegate, but understood every layer of the work, every late night spent analyzing data, every presentation polished to precision, every mentorship session with rising talent had built a foundation of competence and trust. Yet, despite all of this, the promotion that seemed inevitable had been denied. My boss, well-intentioned but conservative, had judged readiness not solely by performance, but by unspoken criteria, timing, politics, and perception. I'd always played by the rules, proving myself at every stage. But in that structured, predictable world, ambition alone wasn't enough. I realized then that no amount of diligence guaranteed recognition in an environment where visibility and perception often outweighed skill. That realization set the stage for the decision that would change everything for a few hours. After the meeting, I wandered through the office like a ghost, my mind replaying the words over and over. Not quite ready. The sting wasn't just in the denial, it was in the implication that all my effort, all my late nights and strategic decisions hadn't been enough. I watched colleagues pass by, their casual greetings and small talk amplifying my sense of invisibility. Every smile, every nod to someone else felt like a reminder that my contributions were undervalued, my potential overlooked. I tried to rationalize it, telling myself that timing, budget, or departmental needs might explain the decision. Yet beneath the surface, frustration simmered. There was a quiet resentment, subtle but persistent, gnawing at my professional confidence. I caught myself replaying meetings, questioning whether I had misread signals or underestimated politics. The office, once familiar and comforting, now felt like a cage, its rhythms highlighting every slight, every missed acknowledgement. By the end of the day, one thought refused to leave me. Maybe staying and hoping for recognition wasn't enough. If growth and respect weren't coming here, I would have to seek them elsewhere. That thought, audacious and terrifying, sparked the first ember of change. In the days that followed, I became an observer of the very system I had once trusted to reward merit. Meetings revealed subtle patterns, favoritism disguised as efficiency, credit diverted to those with louder voices, and decisions influenced by relationships rather than results. I noticed the whispers in corridors, the quiet acknowledgements that bypassed me, and the unspoken hierarchies that no amount of hard work could penetrate. Every project I contributed to was meticulously executed, Yet the recognition always seemed to drift elsewhere. It wasn't incompetence that blocked advancement. It was the architecture of perception. Colleagues who spoke first, acted boldly, or cultivated visibility were rewarded, while diligence, patience, and consistency were treated as background noise. The realization struck hard. In this environment, my skills, achievements, and years of careful preparation were invisible, unless paired with strategic self-promotion, began to map the dynamics, analyzing who thrived and why, understanding the subtle signals that shaped outcomes. Each observation confirmed a truth I had resisted admitting. Waiting for acknowledgement within this system might never lead to the growth I deserved. Patience alone was no longer a strategy. It was a risk. The tension between competence and recognition crystallized into clarity. If I wanted my career to advance, it wouldn't be by waiting for others to validate me. The only path forward required a choice: continue to navigate an unfair hierarchy, or step boldly into a future I controlled. The decision didn't arrive in a single moment. It built quietly, like a storm gathering on the horizon. Each meeting where credit slipped away, every subtle dismissal, each reminder that hard work alone wasn't enough, fed a growing certainty. Staying meant stagnation. But leaving, that was terrifying. Stability, routine, and the predictability of a steady paycheck weighed heavily against the unknown, against the risk of failure. Beyond the walls I had mastered, replayed the scenario endlessly, debating with myself. Was I overreacting? Could I find leverage, make one final case, prove my readiness? I sought counsel from trusted mentors, framing my dilemma carefully. Their responses were measured but clear sometimes. Walking away isn't surrender. It's the only path to growth. They reminded me that ambition unchecked by opportunity breeds frustration, and that true advancement often requires courage, not permission. For days the tension ebbed and flowed, a push and pull between fear and resolve. Then came a morning when I realized the hesitation itself was holding me back. I was already capable, already prepared. The only obstacle was my own inertia. With a quiet exhale, I drafted the resignation letter, each word deliberate, unhurried, final. I didn't need drama or confrontation. The act of writing it was both a liberation and a declaration. I was choosing control over circumstance, autonomy over stagnation, and possibility over compliance. In that moment, the path forward was no longer a question. It was inevitable. The days after handing in my resignation were a strange mix of exhilaration and uncertainty. For the first time in years, the routine that had defined me, commutes, meetings, approvals, was gone. Initially, the void felt disorienting. Without structure, without deadlines, it was easy to question whether I had made a mistake. But slowly, freedom revealed itself as opportunity. I could pursue projects that truly aligned with my ambitions, explore industries and roles that had once seemed out of reach, and reconnect with the skills and passions that had fueled my career from the start. Opportunities came in unexpected forms. Conversations with former colleagues, mentors, and new contacts led to offers and collaborations that were richer, more challenging, and more aligned with my values than anything I had experienced before. I realized that my potential wasn't limited by the walls of a single office or the opinions of one boss. It was bounded only by the constraints I imposed on myself. Every small success reinforced the decision I had made. Presentations, negotiations, and strategic decisions that once felt fraught now became arenas where I thrived, no longer filtered through politics or hierarchy. The satisfaction wasn't loud or dramatic. It was quiet, steady, and profoundly empowering. Leaving wasn't just an escape, it was a recalibration, a conscious step toward growth, autonomy, and fulfillment. Looking back, the denial of that promotion no longer feels like a setback. It feels like a turning point. The sting of hearing "not quite ready" was temporary, but the lessons it forced me to confront have been lasting. I learned that patience, diligence, and skill are not always enough in systems governed by perception and politics. Sometimes the recognition you deserve isn't going to arrive on its own timeline. Walking away was not a defeat. It was a declaration of self-respect. By choosing autonomy over complacency, I reclaimed control of my career and my trajectory. I discovered that opportunities don't always exist where you expect them. They often appear when you create the space to pursue them. Each step since has reinforced a truth that had been obscured by routine. Progress is earned through courage, self-awareness, and the willingness to embrace risk. For anyone feeling stuck, overlooked, or undervalued, the lesson is clear. Don't wait for someone else to validate your potential. Sometimes the most important promotions are the ones you give yourself by taking charge of your own path. Success isn't always about titles or recognition. It's about alignment, growth, and the confidence to never settle for less than you're capable of achieving.